And our fans have become a major part of this campaign with their action and with their enthusiasm. We truly have the best fans in the world.
RMA said, I would have started 7 times already if I was there. This is testament to RM's performing moxie, you know, like he's like, this is just a room full of old guys. I performed to like, you know, 1 billion people in a stadium. This is nothing. Hello there, humans. My name is Comedian. I just watched the BTS little mini speech at the White House, and it was nice. It was good. It was like invigorating, and it made me want to watch their UN stuff. Because I've obviously heard about this, but I don't think I've ever gotten around to watching this. Maybe I've seen some clips, but I definitely haven't watched the full thing. And I should, because knowing them, what they say will probably be quite insightful. Maybe make me feel a little bit emotional. All stuff I wanna. It's 2:37. I wanna get emotional. That's a good time to get emotional. A good time as any. So I hope you guys are looking forward to this. Thank you for being here. Please check out my Patreon so you can support my channel, and subscribe so you can support my channel, and watch so you can support your entertainment levels. Let's go. I hope RM does his like big boy kind of announcer's voice for this speech. I love his big boy announcer voice.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General. UNICEF Executive Director.
Yes, he definitely is. He definitely is. Oh, I love it. It's like Elvis. It's brilliant. It's like buttery.
UNICEF Executive Director and all the excellencies and distinguished guests from across the world. My name is Kim Namjoon, also known as RM, the leader of the group BTS. It is an incredible honor to be invited to an occasion with such significance for today's young generation. Last November, BTS launched the Love Myself campaign with UNICEF, building on our belief that true love first begins with loving myself. We've been partnering with UNICEF's End Violence program to protect children and young people all over the world from violence. And our fans have become a major part of this campaign with their action and with their enthusiasm. We truly...
Whew, you could say that again. I think this probably happened before Army, like, you know, made right-wing Twitter like unlivable for a few weeks, but you know, there's they've got some scalps in their name, you know.
With their action and with their enthusiasm, we truly have the best fans in the world.
RMA said, I would have started 7 times already if I was there. Yeah, but you know, this is testament to RM's performing moxie, you know, like he's like, this is just a room full of old guys. I performed to like, you know, 1 billion people in a stadium. This is nothing.
And I'd like to begin by talking about myself. I was born in Ilsan, a city near Seoul, South Korea. It is a really beautiful place with a lake, hills, and even an annual flower festival. I spent a very happy childhood there, and I was just an ordinary boy. I used to look up at the night sky and wonder, and I used to dream the dreams of a boy. I used to imagine that I was a superhero who could save the world. And in an intro to one of our early albums, there's a line that says, my heart stopped when I was maybe 9 or 10. Looking back, I think that's when I began.
He's a great orator, I think is the word. And you know how it is? It's because I thought he was totally chill, and I just heard like the stress or like the kind of nerves in his voice. You can just hear it in his breath, like right here. But up until then, it's like, you know, ice cold. I had no idea. I mean, it makes sense. It is the UN, but...
An intro to one of our early albums, there's a line that says, my heart stopped when I was maybe 9 or 10. Looking back, I think that's when I began to worry about what other people thought of me and starting seeing myself through their eyes. I stopped looking up at the night skies, the stars. I stopped daydreaming. Instead, I just tried to jam myself into the malls that other people made.
Ooh, here we go. I wondered when it would happen, but here we are already. That's so hard, what he just said.
I stopped looking up at the nights other people thought when I was maybe 9 or 10.
This bit.
Looking back, I think that's when I began to worry about what other people thought of me and starting seeing myself through their eyes.
that line is really powerful. Started seeing myself through their eyes. Like, you know, that was my whole life in school. Like, I was bullied relentlessly for my physical appearance, mostly my teeth, which I think I've kind of matured into, like aged into gracefully. But as a kid and before I had braces, like, you know, these pretty big teeth, they were pretty huge on a kid's head, and I had a big overbite. And I was bullied like relentlessly for it. Like I was bullied like, you know, anywhere, everywhere, in class, in front of the teacher, it didn't matter. Like, you know, after a while, I just felt like less than human. I just felt like, you know, it inherently felt, combined with, you know, also issues I had at home, that I just was less of a person, that I was worth less, you know. And that became my life. Like I really became someone who only saw themselves through other people's eyes and judgmentalized, you know. So, you know, if I walked into a room, all I was thinking was, how do I look right now? I probably look weird. How do my teeth look? Like, all I could think about constantly was how I looked at other people. And it's really sad looking back. And I'm glad I've mostly broken out of that, or, you know, worked away from that. But, you know, the way he said it is perfect. It really sums up, you know, like what that's like, and how sad it is, like, you know, for what should be the most carefree, you know, happy, sort of most natural time in your life, the time when you're just born and you shouldn't have to have all this cynicism and negativity dumped on you, that it happens anyway. And age 10, you can become like, not embittered, but just kind of, you know, your whole perspective on the world can change and you can stop seeing it in a positive light. It's really sad. I'm sad to hear that happened to him as well.
I stopped looking up at the night skies, the stars. I stopped daydreaming. Instead, I just tried to jam myself into the malls that other people made. Soon, I began to shut out my own voice and started to listen to the voices of others.
Yeah.
No one called out my name, and neither did I. My heart stopped and my eyes closed shut. So, like this, we all lost our names. We became like ghosts. But I had 1 century.
Oh, it sounds like an awkward place to laugh, but it's just like, it's almost like the absurdity. Like, I'm sure there's probably been some great speeches in the UN over time, but I'm guessing on average, you're not getting a poetic, flowery, beautiful speech like RM's giving right now. Like, he basically is just dropping like some of his best song lyrics into a speech at the UN. It's pretty great. It sounds like hippie-ish to say, but you almost wondered, like, oh, well, if in a different world, everybody at the UN would, you know, all the politicians would actually think and speak like this. It probably would be better, let's face it. That probably would be a better world.
Ghosts. But I had 1 century, and that was music. There was a small voice inside of me that said, wake up, man, and listen to yourself. But it took me quite a long time to hear music calling my real name. Even after making the decision to join BTS, there were a lot of hurdles. Some people might not believe, but most people thought we were hopeless. And sometimes I just wanted to quit. But I think I was very lucky that I didn't give it all up. And I'm sure that I and we will keep stumbling and falling like this. BTS has become artists performing in those huge stadiums and selling millions of albums right now. But I am still an ordinary 24-year-old guy.
Jesus.
If there's any
Christ, how is he 24 in this clip? Like, oh, I feel like it's almost easier for my own insecurity or whatever to just be like, they are and always have been the age they currently are. So, you know, RM's like 28, 27 or something. So, you know, I'm only a few years off him. That's fine. No, he's 24. He's 24 in this clip talking to the UN. Boy, wow.
An ordinary 24-year-old guy. If there's anything that I've achieved, it was only possible that I have my other BTS members right by my side, and because of the love and the support that our ARMY fans all over the world made for us. And maybe I made a mistake yesterday, but yesterday's me is still me. Today, I am who I am with all of my faults and my mistakes.
And I think he's expressed a similar sentiment in some of his other songs, or maybe it was Sugar, I don't know. But I definitely remember watching some BTS stuff and having that same sentiment. And it's so true though, because I feel like you go through stages in life of like maturity, and he managed to hit his age 24, which is amazing. But you kind of go through a stage in life where you're like, maybe, you know, you're a young, dumb kid and you act or say things that are just, you know, thoughtless. Then you get older and you think, oh my goodness, I can't believe that's who I was. Like, thank God I'm no longer that person. I reject that person. And then you get even older and you realize, like, you know, all the stuff I went through, good or bad, it still is the fabric and the tapestry of my persona. It's what created the me I am today. So I can still, you know, like look down upon, or still, you know, still be like, well, I'm glad I'm not that person anymore. But you still have to acknowledge where you came from and all that stuff in your past, good and bad, you know. And he's saying that age 24 at the UN. So, yeah.
Tomorrow, I might be a tiny bit wiser, and that'd be me too. These faults and mistakes are what I am, making up the brightest stars in the constellation of my life. I have come to love myself for who I am, for who I was, and for who I hope to become.
Honestly, it's like, I don't know. I think it's an indictment on our society and human society in general. But not only is it brave to give any kind of speech at the UN, obviously, I feel like for some reason, and it shouldn't be the case, but it is brave to stand up in a room full of people and say, I love myself. You know, I'm not, and obviously, like, if you're like, oh, I love my, you know, if you're naked and you're like, oh, I love myself, that's different. But if you're saying it wholesomely and you're preaching self-love, you're teaching self-love, I was just trying to imagine, I was putting myself in his shoes, trying to imagine being in a room in the UN and saying, and speaking about self-love and saying, I've learned to love myself. And that sounds difficult. And I think it's because there is this weird thing in society where we really have stigmatized love as a whole. The whole fabric and tapestry of love is stigmatized, which is completely messed up and horrible. And it shows that, you know, most of our world leaders are not good people when that's the case. But, you know, that the self-love thing is so important. And you know, it's sad that that's the case, but I think it really is brave to stand up to all these, you know, presumably like fusty old politicians and be like, self-love. Like, they're probably people who are like, oh my God, self-love. What's he going to say next? Get therapy? An outrage. Like, it's great.
Say the one last thing. After releasing our Love Yourself albums and launching the Love Myself campaign, we started to hear remarkable stories from our fans all over the world, how our message helped them overcome their hardships in life and start loving themselves. Those stories constantly remind us of our responsibility. So, let's take all one more step. We have learned to love ourselves. So now I urge you to speak yourself. I like to ask all of you, what is your name? What excites you and makes your heart beat? Tell me your story. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear your conviction. No matter who you are.
If I was there, I'd be like, Jesus, though, like, ooh, that line hit me, because I feel like self-acceptance, which is on the road to self-love, is a different thing. And even self-love is a different beast from speaking yourself. I feel like I've been kind of suppressing who I am for a while. And it's a chicken and egg thing. I don't know if it's like, you know, I've been kind of depressed or like just neutral mood, so I don't express myself as much, or because I don't express myself as much, I've eased into a neutral mood. I don't know what it is. But it really is a different beast. Like, there's a difference between like being okay with who you are and then being okay with sharing that, really. Good speech, yeah.
Tell me your story. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear your conviction. No matter who you are, where you're from, your skin color, your gender identity, just speak yourself. Find
I love that he got gender identity in there. I mean, that's awesome. That's really cool. That's wow.
Identity. Just speak yourself. Find your name and find your voice by speaking yourself. I'm Kim Namjoon.
Like, was this the first time they spoke out on, like, you know, trans issues, trans rights, or gender identity? Because I feel like, from what I've heard and know, it'll be quite hard for them to sort of say that in Korea, or, you know. So I don't know, like, if this was the first time they were like, by the way, guys, pro-trans rights. Like, it's like, you know, how there's that famous picture of Don Cheadle on SNL wearing a giant shirt that says protect trans kids, and it's like, wow, I love Don Cheadle even more than I did now. In fact, you know what, I'm going to forget the whole you doing a terrible English accent in Ocean's 11. I don't care. I'm going to watch that movie again and be like, that's the best English accent I ever heard, because that man wore a shirt that said protect trans kids.
Find your name and find your voice by speaking yourself. I'm Kim Namjoon, and also RM of BTS. I'm an idol, and I'm an artist from a small town in Korea.
Nice.
Like most people...
Again, it's going to be hard for his haters to call him an idol and mean it as an insult when he's proudly said that he's an idol to the UN.
And I'm an artist from a small town in Korea. Like most people, I've made many and plenty mistakes in my life. I have many faults, and I have many more fears, but I'm gonna embrace myself as hard as I can. And I'm starting to love myself gradually, just little by little. What is your name? Speak yourself. Thank you very much.
Ooh, good speech. I got chills. Great speech.
With so many young fans around the world, it was a pleasure having BTS with us, and I'm thankful that you use your platform and creativity to reach young audiences with positive messages about what it means to be a young person in the world today.
Seriously. Obviously, it's not on the same level, but one of the favorite things about my channel is when I get comments from people being like, you know, your video helped me, or you actually, well, this probably happens too often, like you helped me realize I have ADHD because you don't stop going on about it, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, that honestly means the most to me, like being able to help people. And so I've said this before, but it is amazing, like how many people they can help with their platform. You know, people have the size of platform they do and don't help anyone or even hurt people, whereas, like, you know, they use it to help people. Like they considering how the state of mental health in the world and how it's still stigmatized in so many societies, even the ones that consider themselves enlightened and stuff. I don't think it's even exaggeration to say that BTS could be like the biggest factor of mental health awakening, of mental health acceptance, you know, in a lot of people's lives. That really could be, they really could be that factor. That's why, you know, music and art is just so powerful and so important. It's really cool. And going back to the actual topic, that was a fantastic speech, you know, excellently delivered. I don't know if it's more daunting to do the UN or to do a massive stadium. I'm guessing probably the UN thing if you haven't done it before, but I could only tell at one point that he was nervous, like he delivered that with like balls of steel, you know, hats off to him. Great speech. Hope you guys enjoyed the reaction to it, even if it was mostly me watching and being like, oof, wow. Cool guy. And if you enjoyed the reaction, please do subscribe and consider checking out my Patreon. The link's in the description. It's pretty reasonable, and all the tiers get to take part in Patreon for Thursdays. There's Run BTS videos on there, Bon Voyage videos on there. It helps support make this channel possible in a continuing sense. Thank you guys very much for watching. I really love, you know, like RM, but on a much smaller scale. I like being able to talk about mental health and share this stuff, and I hope it helps some people. So yeah, thank you for coming. See you soon. And remember, if you like this reaction to RM's speech, click the subscribe button because I'm a peach.